Hi, I'm Scott Kreitzer. The following free stroke exercise will allow us to practice our sitting and right hand position checks, along with learning the most common stroke made by the classical guitarist, the free stroke. But first, it's important to talk a little bit about the principles of movement. We're going to talk about follow-through, passive and active recoil, as well as range of motion. With follow-through, the concept here, we know this in many other endeavors. Golfers, anybody who hits a ball, a golf ball, a tennis ball, or a baseball, understands the principle of follow-through. Follow-through allows the practitioner to adhere to the most effective principles of movement. Follow-through is based on the idea that there are sarcomores, which are a set of proteins in the muscle, the myosin and actins, which interact with one another that cause the muscle to contract. So when our brain sends a stimulus to the muscle, it engages these filaments, and they stimulate one another and they contract the muscle. Now, the reason that muscles function best in their mid-range is that there are more sarcomeres, the two proteins, touching each other. When we're at the extent of our range, they're out here like this, and they're not stimulating as much. And when they're squished past the extent of the range, too far, too flexed, for instance, then they don't stimulate each other as well. So our playing should take place somewhere in this range here where the stimulation can really function well. When we reach the extent of our range, the flexor muscles are exhausted. And that brings us to passive and active recoil. But first, let's talk about the contrary motion to follow through, which is minimum motion. Making short, stabby motions with the fingers is not a productive way of playing. Just like if I were going to hit a tennis ball, I want to follow through. If I continuously hit a tennis ball with a short range of motion, then I'm going to be wearing out my muscles, because to stop my flexors from flexing, I have to engage my extensors to do it almost simultaneously. Constantly doing this is a lot like riding the gas and the brake on the car at the same time. Not a great idea for your engine, and not a great idea for your hand to be constantly tightening and keeping this restriction of this motion going. Now, if we can do a nice follow-through, what happens when we follow through is we release those sarcomeres, come to the point where they're beyond the mid-range, and the flexor muscle no longer has any strength. So then we go to passive and active recoil. This is very interesting. So when I flex my finger far enough into the hand, like this for instance, there's a buildup, a passive recoil up in the top of the hand. Okay, this is the stretching of the extensor muscles up there. Now, when I let it back out, that's the active recoil. Okay, so it can flex in, and then the tension builds up, and I can let it out. The problem is it only comes out to the point where the tension began, which in our case is going to be not far enough to play the string. So then we have to engage the extensors slightly and bring them out, the finger out to the string. This brings us to range of motion. So I've identified initially 3 ranges of motion that can help us with our follow-through and help us engage the passive and active recoil correctly, and then help us play a free stroke. Okay, now the free stroke exercise. So we'll engage all these concepts that I just talked about. I'll kind of talk through them as I go. The thumb on the 4th string, hand in good position, good sitting position, all that. We want to put that finger in the extended position, okay? And then I want to flex, and I want to bring my finger to the 2nd position, which is at the flex position, which is where the finger lines up with the IP joint of the thumb, or that first joint of the thumb. And I want to sweep 3 strings strongly. Don't collapse that tip joint, that DIP joint at all. Now, in that flex position, you can feel a slight passive recoil on the top of the hand. We extend the finger from the MP joint primarily, where it comes out to the neutral position, which is about the base of the thumbnail. Okay, that's where the tension began. And then we engage the extensors to let the finger come out to the playing position just in front of the 1st string. So 3 position points of flex, relax, extend, using all the joints, then the MP joint, then the IP joint. Okay, and now you do that 3 times on 3 strings, and then when you extend and relax, then you go to the 3rd string only and play that 3 times. Flex, relax, extend. Now we don't have to extend quite as far. Relax, and you really want to feel these 3 distinctive places. Okay. You really want to feel the difference in there. And even while your hand is in the flex position or whatever position it's in between each one of these these positioning points of flex, relax, extend, I want you to engage to try to work on relaxing the hand, okay? So while you're in that position, also just sense the hand and see if there's extra tension that doesn't need to be there. Okay, these are really great tools to get started with. Okay, so we do that with the index finger, then we do the same thing with the M finger. Now, if you can, put the I and the A in neutral position. Flex, relax, extend, flex, relax. Not that the A finger won't go with the M, it will a little bit, and let it do that. Flex, feel the passive recoil, relax, extend. Now my M finger goes to the third string, 3 times on the third string. Extend, flex, relax, extend. And then I do the same thing with my A finger. Okay, so do IMA on 3 strings, I on 3 strings, then I on the third string, M on 3 strings, M on the third string, A on 3 strings, A on the third string. And then we do the chord exercise, okay, free stroke chord exercise. With the thumb on the 4th string, I on 3, M on 2, A on 1. Do the same thing. Leave the thumb static, have it on the string, and just flex, relax, extend, kind of keep that hand nice and relaxed in between each of those motions. Feel that passive recoil, feel it relax, feel the extensors engage. Okay, I think we do this, I think this is for, I want to do it 6 times. Okay, that's the free stroke exercise for the fingers and for the chords. After a few days, these positions and movements will start to feel a little more comfortable. Don't over-practice and don't try to perfect these exercises. Once you feel that they're beginning to make sense, then we can move on to the next exercise. Working the following exercise will always make the preceding one make more sense. So I know that we all, classical guitarists, we all have a tendency to perfect things, or want to be perfectionists and want to perfect things. But here's where you just want to kind of sit down, you follow your practice log religiously. I don't want you practicing these, just a few minutes a day. You can do, it takes about 2 minutes a day to do these, and then you can do that 3 to 5 times a day, at different times during the day. And don't try to implement any of these into your current playing. Just separate that totally. Your sitting, hand position, all these motions. Just do it totally separate from your current repertoire, current technique practice. Okay, there's our free stroke finger sweep exercises for individual fingers and for the chord.